Hi everyone, I'm here with Kelly and Monty from Dungeon Dudes. We are actually at Gen Con right now. I'm really glad that we got to meet up and get to talk a little bit. But I kind of want to talk about like what it's been like to go from, you guys started doing these YouTube videos, you were analyzing classes, and then you have a live play show, and then that is blown up to you actually making books. That has to be surreal in some way. Like, you had no idea, you couldn't have known when you started making videos that they would take off and that they led down this path.
I mean, when we started this whole thing, we were actually just talking about this earlier today, that the whole thing started with us being like, hey, you know, it'd be really sweet if we one day made enough money that we could buy our D&D books from this. And maybe some minis.
Lofty goals.
Yeah.
And maybe a case of beer for game night.
Yeah, that was the whole goal. That was the great aspiration when we started. So yeah, we had no idea that it was gonna escalate to the levels that it's been, but like, what a dream come true, right? I mean, every D&D player or DM out there dreams of having their worlds that they've created or their characters in a book. So it's been incredible, this journey, and it just keeps getting more incredible. So like, yeah, it feels like every year I'm like, well, we've probably capped out and there's nothing new that could possibly happen, and then we get to do some really cool new stuff, and it's awesome.
My partner never lets me forget that when we started streaming Drakkenheim, that I told her, oh yeah, well, this will be maybe 12 sessions. It's just going to be like a short campaign just to see what it's like streaming. And then season 1 of Drakkenheim was 50 episodes. Shadows of Drakkenheim was 50 episodes, and now we're 128 episodes into Fate of Drakkenheim. So 12 episodes of our live play turned into 200 plus episodes plus 3 books and coming.
You have to have a unique sense of just the tabletop industry in general, since you have done the publishing and you have been analyzing the game mechanics constantly. A big story that's kind of showing up at the event this year is people talking a lot about Daggerheart. Do you have any perspective on like how well Daggerheart is doing right now?
You know, I think it's going to be hard to make a claim like it's going to dethrone D&D. I don't think I can make that claim.
Yeah, that's huge.
But what I will say is that it is easily the game that has made the splash closest to being in the realm of D&D. I think like almost everybody that's playing D&D is currently talking a little bit about Daggerheart.
Yeah.
So I think that it's just blown up in a way that is hard not to notice. I think that it's an incredible system. And I do think that it was made for a certain type of player. I happen to be one of those players that my favorite aspects of D&D are the storytelling and the role-playing. Yeah. The mechanics, for me, are just a tool to get there, where Daggerheart has really amplified those elements in what I think is a really cool way. So I think it's an excellent system, and I think that it's making a big splash. Will it overtake D&D? Probably not. I don't think anything can. But it's in the picture, which very few games have been able to kind of rise to the point where I think it could be a name that in the TTRPG space, you always hear about games that you've never heard of before. But I think Darrington Press could be a household name in the TTRPG space now.
Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't had the chance to actually sit down and play Daggerheart yet. And so that's a big part, I think, for me, of my way of assessing a system is once I get behind the wheel of it and actually get to play it and see how it feels. I think a lot of the mechanics off the page, it's very interesting reading through the Daggerheart book because you see, oh, I know where that mechanic came from. And you see a lot of it wears its inspiration very openly and on its sleeve of like pulling together a lot of really strong mechanics from many different systems that have come and gone over the years. And so I think that the other really strong potential of it that I think in looking at it is as a content creator, performer, and actual play creator, I'm like, this system was definitely written with actual play in mind. And so I think that one of the things that Kelly and I have been very sensitive to in thinking about how we experience the game is actual play both resonates and amplifies a lot of elements in a game system, because when the cameras are on you when you're playing a role-playing game, it tends to focus and intensify the experience of the game, because it does this thing where you're encouraged, because you're performing, to not break out your phone. To not go down on that tangent talking about the latest Marvel movie or what happened at work last week. Everyone is very focused in the mechanics, and so the focused not only on the mechanics but also on the story, on their character and everything like that. And so that really gives the game the chance to breathe and build up that momentum that sometimes in a home game, the interruption of someone getting up to go to the washroom or getting up to get another slice of pizza or just cracking a joke can change the flow. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that is part of the social experience of playing a role-playing game. But I do think that actual play shows that element very, very strongly. And I think that the mechanical elements of Daggerheart specifically really do amplify. I am someone that does believe that, like, the rules, the mechanics in the system do matter. They drive towards certain outcomes, and the rules exist to give us a framework for how we're going to tell our story. They inform what can and cannot happen. The rules are there to help us know, okay, this is a gritty Dark Souls inspired campaign versus this is a high fantasy superhero romp. And so that's why I think the rules are an important thing, even when we do bend and break them.
I was, it's funny, I was talking to Mikey from Legends of Evantris, and they started up just so, they started live streaming just so that he could make sure that they played it every week on time. And they didn't expect it to blow up, so yeah, it does kind of enhance and demands everyone like be at their A game when you're doing a live play show for D&D or any tabletop game.
I think that's probably one of the most rewarding experiences of it is like, you know, we all love D&D, but when we play at home, like, you can't help but have a lot of those social elements. But as soon as you get that really enriched, pure form, suddenly, like, the stories come alive in a much more meaningful way. The narrative comes alive, the characters come alive, and, like, you know, I appreciate that a lot of people are like, your game feels the most like I'm playing around a table with my friends. Because we are. But I still do think that there is a level of separation from, like, when you turn the cameras on to when you're playing at a table with your friends, because what you're seeing is a bunch of people who, like, are never going to go on their phones, and they're always going to be, like, in character, focusing on the narrative in front of them.
A huge thank you to the Dungeon Dudes. They are a font of knowledge and information and enthusiasm about this industry, and I was really happy to get to sit down with them and have an interview. We'll have more of that interview coming up. If you want to support videos like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Also, there are memberships on YouTube as well that support their channel, and I have a Patreon. That allows me to fly around the country, conduct interviews like this, make more videos, buy gear, and also create playtest materials for games like Daggerheart or Dungeons & Dragons. Thank you so much for watching.